episode, we'll be mentioning the 8 different types of love. Then we'll pick just one to talk about. In other words, in today's video episode, we'll be discussing just part 1 of this 8-part video series. Why we'll be taking it one at a time? The primary reason is that it makes for good comprehension in the learning and understanding process. Then, of course, there could be several other types of love that exist, but we'll just concentrate on these 8. If you stick with me to the end of this video, and then you are able to go through the whole of the remaining 7 episodes in this series, I promise you that you will get insane value. It will be one of the best speeches on love and relationships that you've ever heard. Yes, probably. Okay? Probably one of the best that you've ever heard. Think about some of the relationships in your life right now. What do you see? Are there opportunities for improvement? Are there opportunities to strengthen the loves you have in your family? Are you planning to get married? Are you on a dating relationship? Or are you a widow or a widower? Are you a single parent? A single or married senior? Or are you a divorcee in search of love again? Truth is that in all these situations, you have the capacity to find amazing love. Learning about these types of love can help you to understand how you view love right now and how you can experience true love. And when you understand that, relationship begins to make so much more sense. And when you understand that, relationships begins to make so much more sense. You will begin to see the many facets of your relationships and how much capacity you have for love right now. The amount of love in your life might just surprise you. On the flip end, too, you might see that your present relationship is far from the ideal relationship that you've always dreamt of or that you wish you had. You will also see more clearly if your relationship is headed for the rocks or if there just might be a possibility that it could be revamped. You might also see areas where you have faltered in the past and then gain exceptional insight into how to tackle such scenarios next time. My mission here is to provide you with trustworthy guidance. And so without further ado, let's dive in. These are the 8 types of love. Number 1, eros. Number 2, agape. Number 3, philia. Number 4, storge. Number 5, philautia. Number 6, ludus. Number 7, pragma. And finally, number 8, mania. In today's episode, we will start with eros. Now, what is eros? Eros is the name given by the ancient Greeks to the god of love and desire. In the mythology of ancient Greece, Eros was the first son of Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love. Eros stands for erotic love. It's the sexual and romantic love that attracts members of the opposite sex. Eros can be very powerful and gets wild and out of control most times. Have you heard of a young man or woman who is involved in a relationship with a member of the opposite sex, then the parents of this individual have done everything possible to break this affair, but to no avail. Instead, what you hear from them is something similar to words like this: Mom, Dad, ending this affair will be over my dead body. If it's not Stephen, or if it's not Clement, or if it's not Jephthah, I'm better off dead. You will receive my dead body. Do you hear me, Mom? Do you hear me, Dad? This is for a lady in love, under the influence of Eros. For the young man, sometimes it happens like this. He walks into his parents' sitting room with both hands in his pockets. Then as he stares at them, he removes one of his hands to gesticulate. Hey, Mom and Dad, I want both of you to listen, okay? And you must listen hard. It has to be Jennifer, or it has to be Josephine, or it had to be Ifeoma, or it had to be Judith or Anita, or else I will hang myself. Consider me dead and gone. Viewers, can we see how powerful and dangerous being under the influence of Eros can be? And because the loving parents do not want a dead son or daughter as a present and as a consequence, they will give in and say, it's okay, darling. We agree with you now. We will support you. So let me ask you who is watching this. Have you ever been under the influence of Eros? Tell us about it in the comment section below. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear how you personally strove to handle your erotic feelings. I personally strive to respond to every comment. Okay? So let's continue. And as powerful and as dangerous as Eros can be, sometimes it's also impractical and unrealistic. What do I mean? What I mean is this. Sometimes Eros can take the splendor of a legend. We all know what a legend is, don't we? Legends are extraordinary stories of past events that have no basis at all in reality. They are similar to myths. Myths and legends might have a kernel of truth in them, but because they have been so embellished and so decorated to an extraordinary degree, they've lost their authenticity. Even their historicity is uncertain. Let me give you an example. We've all heard of a bird called the nightingale, right? Good. The nightingale is a bird that sings sweetly by night as well as by day, but chiefly by night. I'm reminded of an English poet of the Romantic era. This poet of the Romantic era wrote about himself and his heart true, or his soulmate, if you wish. He said he had a wish. And what was his wish? He said he wished that he and the love of his life will fly and go beyond the realm of the earth and then be transported onto the realm of the nightingale, where both of them, that is he and his lover girl, will join the nightingale in an ageless bubble of free life, and where forever he shall look unto his body and the body of his queen as being vibrant and full of youthful activity, and full of the zest of life. Viewers, does this sound realistic? For goodness sake, when did humans develop the ability to fly bodily and travel beyond the realm of the earth without technology? This is just utopia, isn't it? It's from the land of dreams, and it is far removed from reality. This is what Eros can do to a man or woman when they are under its influence. Though the task of traveling with our soulmate, the realm of the nightingale, is beyond our present capabilities, the idealistic feelings of happiness and joy can still be experienced even right here on Earth. Our planet Earth is indeed a jewel in the blackness of space. This was noted by astronauts who ventured into outer space and took photographs of the beautiful planet from a distance. There are indeed many wonderful and exciting tourist attractions, destinations, and exotic spots on the planet that could engender in us feelings of excitement and euphoria that could be compared to what we would expect if we were to fly to the realm of the nightingale. However, we are not belittling Eros one bit, never!
Why are these chickens so noisy and troublesome?
I know. To the contrary, being under the influence of erotic love is super important. It is a very wonderful and exciting experience. How do we know this? Take a moment and look at the entire population of the earth. Every intelligent parliamentarian, every capable statesman, every celebrated scientist, every artistic genius, every romantic poet, every award-winning writer and novelist has come into existence as a result of Eros. I, who sits here to speak to you, I have come into existence as a result of Eros. You too, who is watching me now, you've also come into existence as a result of Eros. It is not absolutely wonderful? I mean, what Eros can do? Getting overwhelmed by the influence of Eros. I mean, what Eros can do? Getting overwhelmed by the influence of erotic love and making feverish preparations to consummate it in marriage is an innate characteristic of our species. As a result of the influence of Eros, we now have a whole world of mankind made up of billions of people. What about the animal kingdom? Would you say that all species of animals have come into existence as a result of Eros? Now, one example. Have you ever seen dogs mating before? They are sexually attracted to one another and don't give a damn in the world of who watches them in the act. Imagine stumbling accidentally upon a couple of dogs copulating, and then, because you are shocked at the sight, you raise your face at them and said, hey, you guys, you don't do that in public. It's supposed to be a private affair, done in secret. This is public indecency and an assault to our sensibilities. Get the hell out of here. Now, what do you think? What do you think their response will be? Would they listen to you? I seriously doubt. I seriously doubt it. To themselves, it is their affair. And if they could speak, they will ask you to please mind your business. They have started a journey and they are determined to see the end of this journey, come what may, without a care in the world. Is Eros involved? Or are they just guided by what many people will call instincts? Let me hear from you once again in the comment section below what you think. I, for one, also became an unwilling victim of Eros. This occurred several decades ago when I was not even yet in my teens. I should be about 9 or 10 years old then. At that time, I had not yet experienced puberty. So those powerful sexual feelings that characterize the early years of puberty were unfamiliar to me. Yet, I had experienced the powerful influence of Eros, even at that tender age, which got me thinking and asking myself many years later, why would I have this experience at such tender age when I was yet to develop sexually? I then realized that it was not the sexual side of Eros that I was led captive to. Rather, it was the romantic side of Eros that had overwhelmed me at that tender age. This is because I had no sexual urges then, being as it was that I was in my pre-pubertal stage. So I really had no desire to sleep with her. In fact, the thought was even repulsive to me then. I only wished that my feelings for her was reciprocal. But alas, it wasn't. I actually wanted to be like her brother, her friend, and an academic companion. Just the two of us in our little world, completely lost, always together and living life to the fullest. So in reality, there are actually two sides to Eros. The first side and most pronounced of the two sides is the sexual side, which is the great urge or instinct to mate. But apparently, I had been overwhelmed by the romantic side of Eros, which deals with the quality or feeling of excitement and mystery that is associated with love and a great yearning to be constantly with that person and then to be removed and detached from everyone else and from everyday life so that it's just the two of you in your world. You got it, don't you? Great. For me then, as a child of tender years, this was so overpowering. Well, you might call it infatuation or crush, and you may be right. But infatuation or crush is generally regarded as a strong feeling of romantic love and attraction towards a member of the opposite sex who is much more older than the individual and is much more discernible in childhood. Oh, of course, it can also happen to teenagers or even adults. What bothered me most then was that these feelings were so overwhelmingly intense and were crying out for an outlet to express themselves. But I was unable to do so. Now you may wonder why. The reason was that I was painfully shy as a young lad. Very shy indeed. I was self-conscious and could not even raise my head to look at this person in the face. Now, contrary to popular belief that childhood crushes are only directed to older persons, mine was directed towards a member of my peers. We should be roughly at about the same age. Looking back now, I want to believe that she knew that I had a crush on her because I acted awkwardly many a time in her presence, and she must have found it very amusing. What made it all the more difficult for me then was that my feelings were not reciprocated. This most frequently happens in this kind of scenario, where on one side, this person has great attraction for the other person, and on the other side, the other person doesn't even care or give a damn about the other person's feelings. Can you begin to comprehend the headache I was going through then? It had far-reaching and unforgettable effect in my life, even to this day. And in fact, even to this day, I still remember her name vividly. Even as I speak, I can picture her clearly in my mind's eye. You don't easily forget your first crush. I don't mean first date. A first date usually happens when you are sexually matured and emotionally or yet to be emotionally matured. But even that is not easily forgettable. Here, I'm talking about a first childhood crush. But what got me attracted to her, it wasn't that she was so pretty. In reality, she wasn't too pretty. Reflecting on the experience, I think what got me into her was her exceptional brilliance. In fact, she was a genius. She was a celebrated pupil in school then. While for me, I was so hopelessly shy and socially ill at ease to let my brilliance shine through. Well, that is now history and it doesn't bother me anymore. However, I learned some very powerful lessons as a result of being manipulated and adversely affected by the influence of eros. 1. The complex emotions and bewilderment that I went through were part of the grand plan by the master architect to get me prepared for the intricacies, the challenges, the complexities, and the sexual maturation of adulthood. This must be so because these kind of experiences are also shared by almost everybody, though they occur in different circumstances and environments. Nonetheless, they do happen. The purpose for these kinds of experiences are evident, and that is so that we can become participants in our Creator's purposes for His creation. And those purposes are benevolent and benign and enriching, because the end result is the propagation of our human species. Eros is indeed so powerful that it has brought to birth all members of the human family. Life becomes richly rewarding and have meaning when we are able to foster and nurture healthy and enduring relationships that enable us to discover the man or woman of our dreams. This leads to marriage, where we join the great designer in the propagation of our species. The second lesson is this. Sometimes in life, you might have a strong attraction towards a person. And it may be physical or emotional, yet there will be no connection, no chemistry. The other person at the other end of the spectrum might not even share the same feelings with you. In other words, he or she might not be on the same page as you. It can be a very painful and emotionally exhausting experience. Okay? Yes. You've done all you could to get noticed by this person. You've given this person all the signals, all the telltale signs, and you are absolutely certain that this person has decoded all your signals and has taken notice of you. Yet, this person is adamant. He or she is not interested. What do? You move on. For goodness sake, you move on. You see, it is vital that you recognize that at certain points in life, there is a need for you to let go and continue moving on. There is a need for you to let go of that which you find so precious and irresistible and keep moving on. Oh, yes. We recognize that it can be a very agonizing and excruciating experience sometimes. In fact, statistics have it that a large proportion of suicides are committed by millennials, who are otherwise known as Generation Y or Eco Boomers. That is those between the ages of 26 and 44. These love suicides, so to speak, have been committed by individuals who refuse to let go and keep moving on because they could not cope with the emotional, the physical, and mental trauma of rejection and unsuccessful love affairs. But come to think of it, is someone who does not reciprocate your feelings of love and affection worth dying for? Not at all. Persisting in your attempts to win over this person's heart might not yield any meaningful results. But come to think of it, there's anyone who does not reciprocate your feelings of love and affection worth dying for? Not at all. Persisting in your attempts to win over this person's heart might not yield any meaningful results or success. On the contrary, it might result in utter frustration and humiliation, which could make your life all the more miserable. So you need to keep moving on. You need to keep moving on. Now listen to this. In case that you refuse to let go and you keep persisting in your attempts to win over this person. Now, if it's a man who has no scruples, what I mean is that if he has no conscience and is evil inclined, he might reason thus. Now, since this lady has been pestering me for so long and refused to take no for an answer, why not I pretend that I've been won over and then collect all the cookies that she has to offer? After which, when I'm fully satisfied and done with her, I will now ditch her. Can you see the great danger? On your end, you might start rejoicing. that you've won him over, and even commence a victory dance. Hey, hey, I've won him over. I've won him over, you had to say. Or if you're a man, you will say, hey, hey, I've won her over. I've won her over. What a victory dance. Then you will not realize that they have other plans up their sleeve. And at the end of the day, he will end up having sex with you multiple times and messing you up. When he has had his fill and is done with you, he will then ditch you and end the relationship. So if you are a lady watching this right now, which of these two scenarios is more emotionally and mentally devastating? Is it to have ended your efforts at winning him over a long time ago? No matter how handsome, how famous, how intelligent, how rich, or how brilliant he is? Or is it for you to keep trying and end up being humiliated? Oh, yes, because he does not see you on the same page. For goodness sake, he does not see you on the same page. So is it wise to persist until he now accepts and takes advantage of your vulnerability and insecurity, and then uses you and finally dumps you? Which one is better? Which one is more endurable? So there you have it. Then on the other side, if you are a man, which one is better for you? There's this lady that you have great feelings for. She has great beauty. She's elegant, chic, and trendy. She is the cynosure of all eyes, yours included. You've made several attempts to get her to no avail. You keep telling yourself you're not going to give up. You also keep telling yourself that she's just pretending. That is the way of all women, to play hard to get. Why should I quit? After all, quitters never win, and winners never quit. True to your words, you keep persisting. Then she notices that you are actually financially buoyant, and that you have enough dollars to spray around. Then suddenly she agrees, and you shout, Eureka! I told you, quitters never win, and winners never quit. I told you. You now flex your bicep muscles and beat your chest severally. And because you are so excited at your victory, you cannot reason straight anymore. You begin to lavish her with luxuries of this life. You might even buy her a car, or buy her a land, or even build her a house, or even sponsor her to college. After graduation, you wait expectantly for her to come home so that you can get married. Only for her to send you a mail that all these years she actually has a childhood boyfriend that she cannot let go of, and that they are now overseas and will soon be getting married. In that place, you should forgive her, since you are a true Christian, and she sincerely hopes that you will find love again. So, if you are a man watching this right now, how would you take it? How would you take it? For goodness sake. Would you be able to survive the experience? Well, probably you could. A lot of people have survived similar experiences. While I'm aware too that several others weren't able to survive similar experiences. They had committed suicide. Yes, it's that bird. While still others had died of heart attacks. This whole scenario is similar to a boxing tournament. Many boxers have received knockout punches and managed to survive the experience, often with permanent and sometimes life-threatening injuries. While many others who have received knockout punches did not make it. In other words, they did not survive the experience. After waging the deadly blow to their body, that is the determining punch, they sprawl helplessly on the canvas and never woke up. This is sometimes even after being taken in a stretcher to the hospital. So why take the risk? Why take a chance? Would it not have been better to let her go a long time ago, when your persistent efforts at winning her over were utterly fruitless? Which one is better? Which would you choose? So there you have it again. The final decision is yours. And so with this, we come to the end of our episode 1 in our 8-part video series entitled The 8 Types of Love. As a reminder, the first type of love in our list is Eros. Now, let's get something straight here. Eros is not a real person, nor is it a malevolent spirit or an apparition. It is simply that impelling emotional force or spirit that compels humans and possibly animals to have sexual and romantic feelings towards members of the opposite sex. It is from there that the English word erotic is derived from. And like I said earlier, it is the name the ancient Greeks gave to the son of Aphrodite, who was one of the mythical gods of ancient Greece, a female god and the goddess of love and desire. I humbly appreciate your patience and perseverance in staying with me to this moment. If you think you've found value in this video, why not give us a thumbs up, like, and share the video through your social media profiles such as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on. Then also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so that each time I drop awesome videos such as these, YouTube will get you notified. Stay tuned for a discussion on the next type of love in our series, coming out very soon, and it's called agape or agape love. Thanks for watching and be blessed.